Here's why Jeremy Clarkson asked Kaleb Cooper to leave Diddley Squat Farm immediately. Promising start. In 2008, Jeremy Clarkson, the famous host of Top Gear, bought Diddley Squat Farm, a small farm located in Oxfordshire, England. Despite having no experience in farming, Clarkson decided to try his hand at growing crops and raising livestock. In 2020, the show Clarkson's Farm was born, documenting Clarkson's journey as he tried to run the farm without the help of agricultural experts. Kaleb Cooper, a young and experienced farmer, was hired as Clarkson's assistant. The first conflicts. At first, everything went smoothly. However, when Clarkson decided to expand his livestock operations, conflicts began to arise. One of the controversial decisions was that Clarkson wanted to raise pigs to make use of the potatoes that could not be harvested. Kaleb thought it was a stupid idea and decided to leave the farm for a week to avoid Clarkson. A dispute over crops. Another time, Clarkson decided to plant canola, but the results were not as expected. His field was attacked by insects, causing the crop to fail. Clarkson blamed Kaleb for not checking the field thoroughly before planting. Meanwhile, Kaleb believed that Clarkson's planting of wildflowers in the field attracted pigeons, causing them to eat the canola seeds. Chapter 4. Escalating conflict. The conflict between Clarkson and Kaleb became increasingly tense. One time, when Clarkson decided to change the tires on his tractor instead of harvesting corn, Kaleb became angry and criticized Clarkson for not prioritizing his work. The situation became more serious when Clarkson decided to raise sheep, but after a year, he gave up and gave them to a local shepherd, leaving Kaleb unable to help but say "I told you so." The final decision. After many disagreements, Clarkson decided to ask Kaleb to leave Diddley Squat Farm. He felt that Kaleb was no longer suitable for his working methods and needed someone who could assist him in managing the farm. Despite this, the relationship between the two remained mutually respectful, and Kaleb continued to pursue his farming career elsewhere. Kaleb, the road. After leaving Diddley Squat Farm, Kaleb Cooper did not let himself be discouraged. Although disappointed by Jeremy's decision, Kaleb realized that this could be an opportunity to assert himself without having to live in the shadow of the famous TV boss. He returned to his family's small farm in Chipping Norton and began to expand production. Kaleb invested in modern machinery, applied new technology and even hired more workers to help. He also opened a TikTok account sharing about real farming life, quickly attracting more than 1 million followers. Netizens called him Gen Z Farm King, the representative of the image of farmers in the digital age. In an interview with BBC Radio Oxford, Kaleb shared, "I always knew I wasn't made for television. I loved the fields, the smell of the earth and the sound of tractors more than the sound of applause." But working with Jeremy was an unforgettable experience, both wonderful and frustrating. Without Kaleb, Diddley Squat Farm fell into chaos. Jeremy hired another farmer, a Swede named Oscar, who was meticulous, quiet and overly systematic. While Kaleb often, lovingly cursed Jeremy and sometimes threatened to quit, Oscar worked like a machine, neither arguing nor smiling. Jeremy missed Kaleb. Silently, he drove the tractor into the field himself one rainy morning, the tires sinking deep into the mud. No one helped pull it out. No one said, "I told you, you never listened to me." In a new episode of Clarkson's Farm, cameras caught Jeremy sitting in a field of barley, his head on the steering wheel, muttering, "Kaleb will know what to do." Rumors and reality. The rumors were rife online. Jeremy Clarkson and Kaleb are on bad terms. Kaleb is about to launch his own show. Amazon cuts Clarkson off after internal feud. Articles appeared frequently on the Daily Mail, The Sun, and even Reddit. But the reality was not quite like that. That fall, Jeremy sent Kaleb a handwritten letter. "You little shit, I just plowed up the cornfield. No one here calls me stupid anymore. It's so boring. If you have any compassion for old people, come back at least once to vent your anger on me. P.S. Bring a tractor. Kaleb didn't reply. But a few weeks later, an old defender appeared at the gate of Diddley Squat Farm. Kaleb got out, his curly hair still messy, his face covered in mud, but his smile was unmistakable. Kaleb didn't return to work full-time. Instead, he agreed to help Jeremy during harvest season and when things were extremely urgent. Their relationship was like that of a divorced couple, who secretly saw each other because they still loved each other. Viewers of the show realized that amid the chaos of failed harvests, lazy cows and empty farm shops, the most valuable thing about Clarkson's farm was the friendship between a very top gear old man and a farmer who didn't know who Leonardo DiCaprio was. When asked on a talk show at the end of the year, "Why did you ask Kaleb to leave?" Jeremy simply laughed and said, "Because he's always right. There's nothing more frustrating than having a shaggy-haired kid tell you I'm stupid, when he's absolutely right." The audience laughed. Kaleb, sitting backstage, shook his head and sneered. Conclusion: there's more than just land and sky in the field. Perhaps the story between Jeremy Clarkson and Kaleb Cooper is more than just a work collaboration. It's also a symbol of generational divides, of the clash between experience and instinct, between reason and emotion, between television and real life. And sometimes, it's those very conflicts that create one of the strangest and most endearing relationships on modern television. Secrets in the Turnip Barn. One early spring morning, as the sun was just rising above the old oak trees at the edge of the farm, Kaleb went to Diddley Squat to help Jeremy prepare for the big event. Diddley Squat International Farm Day. The first and possibly last. Kaleb had just entered the turnip barn when he was startled, not by rats or bugs, but by a handwritten sign hanging in the hay. If you find this sign, remember, never let Jeremy Clarkson handle logistics. Underneath was the scrawled signature of Gerald, the strange old mechanical man whose language no one could quite understand. There was also a hand-drawn map in the barn. Jeremy planned to put the concert stage in the middle of the cow pasture, the dining area next to the compost, and the vintage tractor display right by the emergency exit. Kaleb sighed. I can't believe he's planning this. Beef smell plus DJ plus beer? Not a festival, but a stomach test. At 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, more than 3,000 people descended on Diddley Squat Farm. Why? They thought they'd meet Kaleb, Jeremy, Lisa, Gerald, and maybe sample the original Angus beef burger ex Diddley Squat. Here's what happened in the first 4 hours. DJ plays a remix of Tractor Noise, which is met with a furious backlash from the mayor's wife for scaring her chickens. A local beef burger is found to have no bun, no vegetables, just a patty and a 17 pounds price tag. Lisa Clarkson opens a moist grass-scented candle stall, sells 3. One is used as insect repellent. An American tourist asked Kaleb, "Are you Mr. Clarkson's son?" Kaleb, "No. I'm the one who put up with him in silence." But the climax came when Jeremy appeared on stage and shouted, "Hello. I'm a farmer, an investor, the president of the International Beef Eaters Association, and the guy who once tried to sell beet wine." At that moment, the sound system exploded. A nearby herd of cows was startled and ran into the tractor display area, causing 3 vintage Massey Fergusons to be lightly gored, and an old man to fall, unhurt, but missing a bag of popcorn. When everything was about to fall apart, Kaleb took the stage and grabbed the microphone from Jeremy. "Shut up. Who came here to hear you talk about beet wine?" The audience burst into applause. Kaleb quickly re-coordinates the event, shows guests around the real farm, where the carrots Jeremy forgot for 4 months are still alive. Runs a speed gardening class for kids. The prize is an original Kaleb badge. Gives guests rides on a tractor, with Kaleb at the wheel, collects £10 per ride and all proceeds go to the Protect Cows from DJ Abuse Fund. The event turns around dramatically. At the end of the day, Jeremy and Kaleb sit behind the barn drinking beers, watching the sun set behind the blooming oat fields. Jeremy: actually, you're better than I thought. Kaleb: I know. They both drink their beers in silence. Neither mentions that the cows are still eating part of the stage canvas.